Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for stopping in today. I have a new layout for Pinkfresh Studio, and I'm going to be using the Let's Stay Home collection. And I'm going to incorporate a die that I have not used yet. It's this beautiful one, and it's called Intricate Mandala. And I just think it's so pretty and detailed, and I want to incorporate that onto a layout. And when I first looked at this cut apart sheet, I instantly wanted to use that piece with the rainbow on it. And I really loved all of the colors around it, the yellow card to the right and the dark blue one to the left and even the turquoise one up above it. I just liked how all of those colors looked around the rainbow. So I want to try to incorporate all of the colors in that rainbow card on my layout. And to get the yellow, I'm going to cut this mandala on this yellow pattern paper, and I'm going to make 2 of these. So I'm just going to cut a chunk of this yellow pattern paper off, and I'm going to run it through my manual die cutting machine here. And I run it through once and then back it up and run it back through because the Pinkfresh Studio pattern paper is pretty thick, which is awesome. But I want to make sure that it gets clean cuts. And since this particular die has so many little bits and pieces, I wanted to make sure that it cut cleanly. But I still had to go through and kind of punch some things out because there's so many little teeny tiny pieces. But once I got that all punched out, it was so pretty. And then I realized that I didn't cut my paper big enough. So the second one that I cut actually has a part of it missing at the end because you can see there what I'm talking about. But I'm going to overlap these or tuck them in onto my layout. You can kind of see there that the side got chopped off, but that's not going to matter. But look how pretty these are. I think they're really cool, and you could use these on a card, on a layout. You know, the possibilities are endless. But I wanted to do some layering and somehow incorporate these pieces with this picture. And my daughter's wearing a yellow shirt, and so I thought that that would be the perfect picture to incorporate with this rainbow variety and lots of yellow since her shirt was yellow. So I'm just going to start to play around here and work on my layering, and I have an idea brewing, and what I wanted to do was extend that rainbow card with some mixed media. And hang on just a second, you'll see what I'm talking about. But I wanted to first prep my white cardstock. This is smooth, white, thick cardstock, and this is clear gesso that I'm going to coat the whole piece with. And I know that I want my picture to overlap it right there underneath the saying. And so here's what I'm going to do. This card is going to go right there. I'm going to measure it, or not measure it, but make sure it's straight. And then I'm going to extend the rainbow. And I'm just going to take my pencil there and lightly freehand the rays. I want them coming out further from the right side, and then I'm going to continue them coming out on the other side as well. And I think this effect is really cool. And I don't even know how this idea popped into my head, but you know I love making me some rainbow layouts. And so I wanted to kind of make another rainbow layout, but in a way that I haven't done yet. And so this is perfect for that. You can see exactly where the card is going to go. And now I'm going to color up the rainbow, and I'm going to use the mini ink cubes that you can get in the Pinkfresh store. And the colors that I picked are soft lilac. It's this beautiful pink color. This one is peach fuzz, and all I'm doing is lightly rubbing the edge of the ink pad right onto the paper here. The yellow is called sweet mustard. The light blue is summer shower. And then the darker blue is called sapphire. And since I added the gesso to the paper first, the inks aren't drying right onto the page as I add the color down. And so now what I'm going to do is activate these and kind of turn them into watercolor by using my water brush here. And I'm just lightly squirting a little bit of water just where I want it and then blending the colors together. And I think this turns out really cool. And it was really easy to do, but the key is the gesso. If you try to do this on, you know, cardstock or pattern paper without any protection between the ink and the water and the paper, it's going to just start to tear the paper, and then the ink isn't going to spread and blend nearly at all. It's just going to make a mess. So this allows all of this beautiful watercolor effect to happen. And I think this is really pretty. And it's going to look really cool when I put the card back onto it. And it looks like this rainbow just sort of grew out of the card. And the colors aren't 100%. I think that looks really cool. I like that effect. So what I'm going to do is come in with some of the Pinkfresh Studio liquid watercolors and do a little bit of blending to deepen some of the colors and make them a little more accurate for the card. And I love mixing and matching. So this was fun because I mixed the inks with the watercolors, and you never know what colors you can come up with. And I feel like I got them pretty close to match the card here. And see, the orange I just added was way too much orange. And so since I have the gesso on, I can just continue to add water to it or dab it up or add other colors to it and continue to work with it until I get it just like I want. It's not going to just dry right through the paper right away. And so I want the painted rainbow to look a little crooked. I want it to look a little messy because it is watercolor, and you know, that's the beauty of watercolor. It's not supposed to be perfect. It's not supposed to be 100% quote unquote inside the lines, which, you know, that's just the fun part of making a messy background, is the fact that it is messy and not perfect. And you know, I think that's why I enjoy mixed media layouts so much, is that it allows you to be messy. It allows you to mess up, and sometimes you mess up on purpose and sometimes you don't, but can you really tell? Because it's supposed to look messy. See, I love how this looks. It's messy, but I love it, and I think it looks really cool with the card on top. Yeah, so that's the idea. But the thing now is I can't move that card. It has to go right there or it won't line up. I'm going to have the photo go there. And you know what? It took me almost to the end of this layout before I realized that my daughter's head is turned in the perfect arc of the rainbow. And I did not even plan that. At this point, when I was making the layout, I didn't even notice that until I was at the very end, and I thought, oh my gosh, her head is turned in the perfect direction to match the direction of the rainbow. And you know, I don't know. I don't think I could have planned that if I would have tried. It just happened. So it was another happy accident, I guess you could call it. I decided, since this had a rainbow, I felt like I needed a little bit of the effect of a sky. So I pulled back out the summer shower and I just scraped it onto the background, added some water, same technique, just, you know, bigger area. And it's working great because of the gesso. And treat this just like watercolor once you get it wet. You could also stamp these ink cubes onto some plastic packaging and add water to that, and then flip the plastic over and smush it down. You know, the same idea as if you were using a spray or the liquid watercolors. You can do that same technique with ink pads, and it would work really great. So I'm going to keep, you know, working on the sky here, and I want this to be nice and light and subtle. I don't want it to be that dark blue color. I want it to be nice and airy and soft. I am going to pull in some of the watercolor. This is my favorite of the watercolor colors, and it's called Sky Blue, and it is the most beautiful aqua color. So I'm going to add a tad of that in up at the top and just do the same thing with my water brush. Add a little bit of water and just kind of spread it around. And I want this nice soft effect of sky behind everything. And I like to bring everything back here and there just to see what it looks like and see if you can see it, because I'm going to have that yellow die cut kind of tucked in there. And so that's going to cover some of this up. But you're also going to be able to see some of the blue underneath all those little pieces that are cut out of that mandala. And it's actually going to look like a sun. And I didn't even plan that either until this little landscape kind of took place. And I thought, okay, that looks like a sun. So it's going to be perfect up against the sky. So I let everything dry, came back, and I had to do some stitching. You know, I'm obsessed with machine stitching, and I changed out all the colors. I did pink on the pink, orange on the orange, and I just like that. I think it makes it a little more crisp on the actual rays, but it's still got that whole messy effect because of the watercolor. And I absolutely think that looks so cool with the card back on top of it. I don't even know. Sometimes I wonder, you know, what made me think of doing this? I get asked that a lot, where do you come up with this idea? And I don't even know. It just happens. I don't know. I get inspired by a part of a paper or a die cut, and an idea just grows from that. And I think a lot of it is that I do play with watercolors and inks a lot. And so I always try to think, how can I recreate this with paint? And this card was perfect. It just sort of said, okay, let's make this rainbow bigger. And I don't even know if that makes sense, but that's how it popped into my head at the time. And now I'm going to work on layering and adding everything else to this. I'm going to add that darker blue card that I cut out in the beginning as a layer underneath the rainbow card. And then I'm going to tuck the die cuts, the big yellow die cuts, where they are right there. And then that's where the photo is going to go, because I didn't want to cover up the saying that's on the card. So I put the picture right underneath that. And then I'm going to add in some colors of thread right away before I glue any of this down. And I felt like I needed some more of the orange color. And it's actually not orange, it's more like a peachy melon color. But I had that matching color thread in my stash, so I added that over to the left. And then I added the dark blue, which is more like a royal blue / periwinkle-ish tone, over to the right. And then the turquoise light blue card that I cut out, I'm just going to kind of hack it up and use it as a layer. And you're just going to see a little bit of that color kind of peeking around the edges of the rainbow card right there. And that just helps create a little separation between the card and the big yellow pieces. And so I felt like I needed a pop of pink to layer behind the picture. So I cut another piece of the cut apart sheet to tuck underneath the photo. And you see what I mean now with the photo? Her head, the way she's got her head turned, it's in the perfect arc of the rainbow. How did I not see that in the beginning? I don't know. It's like blatantly obvious to me now. And I am obsessed with how that looks. I don't know. Sometimes my pictures work out to the design and it looks like it was meant to be. And I usually know that from the beginning, but in this instance, I don't know. I didn't see it until later. And I think that was really cool the way that turned out. So I went through the Let's Stay Home die cut pack, the ephemera, the puffy stickers, and those little chipboard circle stickers, and just picked out things that matched or went with the phrase in the rainbow. And now I'm just going to sort of start to glue things down and play around with all these die cuts and stickers and things and see what looks good where. Because I don't really want to cover up the rainbow. I spent a lot of time making the rainbow and I want the stitching to show. So some things are going to be just subtle layers, like that little fat frame there that I added. And I'm going to make sure that things are popped up off the page. I did pop up the rainbow card, and then the photo is also going to be raised up right there. I've got a floral die cut underneath the picture, and we're just going to go from there. I'm going to go through the stickers. This one says Dreaming Big, and it was that perfect light blue color, so that's going to go at the top. And then, yeah, I just spend quite a lot of time trying to decide if I want to layer a sticker on top of the picture right there to the left of her face where there's open space. I kind of like that it's white and open, but I felt like it was the perfect space to overlap something on top of it. So I go back and forth with what to do with that section. I do add some light blue thread down at the bottom, and then an orangey peachy circle sticker right to the right of the photo. And here I go again, playing with that area there. I didn't want to crowd too much around her face, because the photo, the photo should be the focal point of all of our layouts, because that's the point of scrapbooking, is to showcase your photos. So sometimes I want to overlap things on top of the photo, but only if there's room. I don't ever want to crowd the photo or cover up something important. So we'll continue to work on that. What I'm doing now is making clouds, and I just like to free cut these off of scrap cardstock here. I don't know, there's something about when I have a rainbow and a sky or some type of, abstract landscape, which this is by far not an actual landscape, but there's a rainbow and there's a sky and there's technically a sun. I feel like I need some clouds, and so we're going to do that. And I just kind of went for it there. I'm going to ruffle up the edges with my edge distresser and kind of just place these little fluffy clouds up in the sky. And I like that they're white. It's you know, because the top of the page there is nice and light, and the clouds aren't really going to take away from anything. They're not going to compete with all of these colors. I do want to add a little bit of depth to them, so I go back to that summer shower color, stamp it right onto my desk, and then activate it with water and just lightly go around the edges of these clouds to give them a little bit of depth. And that's pretty much the same color that's on the background. And because I want the clouds to be visible, but not, you know, solid blue. I don't want them to stand out as much. These are kind of a background detail where you see them, but they're not jumping out at you. Because when you look at this layout, I want the photo to jump out at you, and I want the rainbow to stand out. So the clouds are kind of a secondary detail that you might see the second time you look at the layout, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to glue those down. I do pop those up with some foam because, you know me, I love me some dimension. And then we're going to go back to embellishing. And here I go. What are we going to put on that little open spot? We still don't know. We're going to try many, many things. Do you guys do this? Do you spend way too much time trying to figure out what to put where? I overanalyze this a lot. So I took a break from that area, decided to add some other little details. I've got some more little die cuts to go down at the bottom. And you know what I'm going to wind up putting there is what you see there. I fussy cut that die cut that says slow days. It's actually one piece, but I trimmed it into two separate words so I could kind of play around with it in that open area, because I kind of like the way a title looks right there. I didn't want a giant big title down at the bottom. I didn't want a title that was going to be so bold that it stood out more than anything. And so I liked the font of this. I liked the color of it, and I thought that it was perfect for this page. And I feel like it's not covering up her face. It's not taking away from her face. It's just kind of over in this empty area of the photo. I do add that little cluster of hearts up at the top, and then I go and add a lot more hearts. I'm going to do some fussy cutting of more hearts here in just a minute. I'm going to use this flower here from the Puffy Stickers. That is the orange color. And actually, the orange in the title and then this flower is that darker orange color. It's not even the color that's in the rainbow, but for some reason, I like the way it looks mixed with all these colors together. I'm going to use this light pink sticker that says Stay Home Club, and a couple more. This little tiny turquoise flower here. And this pattern paper here that's in the collection is great for fussy cutting little tiny hearts. I think I've done this on a couple of layouts, and it's perfect for just adding in little tiny details, just in the little spot where you need something small. So I cut out several of those, and I'm going to glue those up at the top to the left, and a little bit on the right at the bottom. And then we're going to add my favorite detail, the Essential Jewels mix. And you can find these over in the Pinkfresh Studio store. These are so cool. They're like little rhinestones, and they come in all these beautiful colors. And I had all the colors to match the rainbow colors. And in each color, you get 3 different sizes of each of these. And so I thought these would be the perfect match to add some sparkle and shine to the rainbow. So I'm going to kind of randomly put a couple of each color in each row, and then tiny, tiny bits of glue to attach all of these down. And then look how cute these are. They are the perfect sparkle. I mean, they're awesome. Highly recommend these if you like sparkle and shine bling bling on your layouts, because they are my favorite. And they give dimension because they have flat bottoms, so they're perfect. I did decide to add a smaller title down here using the multicolored Puffy Alpha stickers, and it's going to be just hanging because that's what we were doing. You know, what else are we going to be doing during the quarantine? It's pretty much our everyday around here. And so that's what this layout is about, just hanging in there and doing nothing and being together. And so I thought that's the perfect title. I added my journaling in gold, and then that's it. That's the final layout. I really, really love how this turned out. I cannot resist making a rainbow layout. If the opportunity presents itself, I'm gonna do it. But here you can see all the details. I just really love all these colors and how the messy rainbow looks like it's just kind of growing out of that nice, neat card. And then there's the details of all the essential jewels and the die cuts and all of the things that I fussy cut, and that beautiful intricate mandala die that I cut in the beginning, and the little clouds. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I took a lot of close-ups, so I hope it gives you some inspiration and some ideas to try on one of your layouts. If you have never tried mixed media, I hope you at least play around with it and experiment and give it a try, because it really is a lot of fun, and it opens up a whole bunch of doors to, you know, all kinds of different ideas that you could do with different things like this layout here. So anyway, I will see you guys in my next video. I will link everything I used down below, and I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you next time.